Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Big Ten preview for Friday, January 20th, 2023. Just 11 days left in January. Boom, in comes February. Just 11 days till Massachusetts launches. Finally, we can bet legally in the state of Massachusetts on the 31st. ECSI VIPs, I don't really know what to say at this point. 6-0 this week. I don't want to say we have cracked Da Vinci's code by any means, but we've been hot as hell on the overs in college hoops. Going back to Saturday, that puts us now at 12-1 since last Saturday. So we're cooking with Crisco. Today's a new day already. We sent out our play. I think we're catching a number now earlier than later because I think it might go up. It's going to be a fun one for sure. But this is all about Southside Riley. This is Riley Magnuson's stage. This is to get us ready for the Big Ten this weekend. A lot of good games on tap. As we really start to get into the meat and potatoes of conference play, my Yukon Huskies, a team that everyone was all set to anoint as Big East champs, why even play the regular season, have lost 4 out of 5. I saw this coming, guys, but still time to correct it, as Riley's going to talk about. The Big Ten, you know, there's a couple big teams in the Big Ten standing tall, especially one guy that I think is 7-6. But let's bring him in. The one, the only Mr. Riley Magnuson. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Happy Friday, my friend. Happy Big Ten preview day. We've got no games tonight, unfortunately, but as we always do, we've got plenty of games this weekend that I'm excited to break down. 2-1 night. I mean, 6-0 to you. Another scorching hot week. I'm waking up with a smile on my face because I went 2-1 on the Big Ten last night. So credit to you, my friend. You are scorching hot, yeah, the Big Ten's rolling along. College basketball is obviously rolling along. As far as major games, Big Ten really had the stage last night. So excited to dive into it today. As far as what we've got on tap here, I'm sure we'll be mostly short and sweet since we've got no games here today. But as far as last night goes, just a quick recap. Obviously, wasn't a very good game. So I think maybe a couple people saw a couple of highlights. I know I reposted one, like you said, with Zach Edey. Purdue holding Minnesota to 39 points and getting the big win there. I mean, just ridiculous right now. Not only that, but the one team that was right behind him, Rutgers, loses at Michigan State, which is a solid game. I had a nail biter on the total. I had the under get to the window, but down to the last second. But that gives Purdue a two-game lead here in the Big Ten. Not only that, you get Illinois losing to Indiana to push them down to 4 losses, which, all respect to, I think Michigan State and Rutgers are actually there's a few teams with 3 losses. All respect to those 2 teams, but if Illinois had won that one convincingly, that would have been the one team that I said could have made a run at Purdue at the top of the standings. Obviously there's a few teams that if they get scorching hot and Purdue drops a few games, then, that's what, and this will get a lot closer. But I was looking this morning, I think Purdue's minus 300, 350 to win the regular season. So, and I wish I would have seen what the odds were yesterday morning because I'm sure obviously would have been, still heavy favorites, obviously. But not quite that steep. So last night was a huge night for Purdue as far as that is concerned, getting the 1 seed in the Big Ten tournament and getting the regular season title. So unless they've got a rough stretch ahead of them, they look like they're rolling through pretty easily here. I shouldn't say easily; it's never easy, but the way everyone's beating themselves up, it's hard to imagine. Even if they do lose 2-3 games, it's hard to imagine that there's going to be one team that's winning out or losing only one game the rest of the way here. It's been tough sledding for these Big Ten teams to get off and rolling here. So I'm interested to see what we've got this weekend, my friend.
Outside looking in, again, I like this Purdue team. I think they are built, to win 2 games on a weekend, meaning once you get to March Madness. I think they have a style of play. They can clamp you down like they did to Minnesota yesterday, or they're not afraid. They can go up and down. Now, I'm not saying they want to go up and down with like a UCLA, and get into the high 70s and 80s comfortably.
Right.
Obviously, their long run will be predicated on the big man staying out of foul trouble. Now, if some teams go in there really trying to get him into some early foul trouble, you are practicing and formulating a game plan based on the 7'6" guy or whatever his height is, monster in the middle. You take that out and the whole rim now opens up like the Grand Canyon. Just looking at the makeup, and as you said, like the Big East, everyone beating each other up. It's comfortable. The Big East last night, Xavier loses for the first time on the road last night. I talk about Izzo's armies and that time of year. He seems to have gotten it together a little earlier this year than he has in the past few years. Thoughts on the Sparties?
Yeah, no, I like I said, I was torn on the because I respect Rutgers a lot right now. I was torn on that spread. I think it was Michigan State by 3, but I've been really liking Michigan State's defense. Go ahead. I've been really liking their defense at home. Michigan State though. Go ahead though.
Your eyes were spot on. That was a Rutgers number. That definitely, when I saw that number overnight and I saw it in the morning, that was screaming to me. That was a Rutgers play all day.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, especially with the way people respect Michigan State at home. Rutgers is the only other team that's ranked for the AP, and I still think people, at least away from home, aren't giving them enough respect. And obviously, they didn't. I'm sure that might stand after last night's performance for a minute. So there might be another time to go back to them this upcoming week or so. But Michigan State at home, I've had a lot of respect for. Like I was saying, defensively, they've been really good. Even the loss against Purdue, holding them to 64 points and putting them in position to win that game. Obviously, they didn't get it done, but and then you've seen the spots on the road. They were really good, obviously at Wisconsin, but going to Illinois, giving up 75, not quite as strong there. So I'm with you. They are definitely a team that could, like I said, if Purdue drops a few, they are the one team that. I think they could go on a little bit of a run, but they've got some away games. They got to go to Purdue. They got to go to Rutgers, to Ohio State, who, has obviously not been playing well, but I got to imagine they're, coming back hot and heavy for a nice bounce back to try and build their resumes. So, I like you said, I think it's maybe a little too early. I don't know if that's the right way to put it. I think they're definitely a tournament team, Michigan State, but I think they've got some hiccups ahead of them. They've got just not quite enough offensive firepower to be that true top 15, actual contender in the tournament. So they'll be a tough out for sure, whether it's Big Ten tournament, NCAA tournament, but just missing a little bit on offense, I think, and getting them on a neutral court as opposed to at home, is maybe going to be a little bit easier to get them out of there. But all respect to them, they're playing really well right now.
If I asked you right now before we dig into the schedule, a buy and a sell. In other words, a team that you think is in the middle of the pack that you could see a run coming, and a team that you think has been overachieving that you could see some regression. Who would they be?
Well, the one team that already has been kind of seeing some regression that I think could continue to see that, they did get a nice win against Penn State, but Wisconsin, if we're talking as far as, I like I said, Rutgers is the only other team, maybe they won't be after this, that's ranked in the AP top 25. I think per KenPom, though, there's 10, 11 teams that are in the top 40 rankings per KenPom, and Wisconsin's actually the 11th ranked team there. So it got off to a hot start in Big Ten play. Like I said, they were without Wall, and their offense was putrid last weekend against Indiana, scoring 45, but they get the nice bounce back against Penn State. Won't be able to see him this weekend. Would have been a nice test for him. And the other team that I might have said, and now maybe with their COVID issues, is Northwestern. This weekend would have been a great test, but that one's been postponed if everyone missed that one. And their next two after that are Maryland and Illinois, who I don't want to say Maryland is the one. That's not my first choice as far as who I'd be buying to make a turn. I mean, they're what's their record right now? 3-4 in conference play. They looked decent last night. That's not my one pick as far as who I would buy to turn things around, but I think they've got some good ball ahead of them there. But Indiana was really impressive last night, and that was you and I talked about top three, if not, and a lot of people had them as the number one team in the Big Ten coming into this year. So I think you're going to see Indiana starting to rattle off some wins here, and maybe had they had a better record at this point, they might be the one team that could give Purdue a run for their money in the regular season here. But I think it's a little too late with where they're at right now, 3-4. But that would be the one team that I'm buying right now. And
who would you be selling?
Like I said, I think it would be Wisconsin. I guess Wisconsin and Northwestern. It's easy to say that with Northwestern's COVID issues. Ohio State's 2-5. They've lost five in a row. I again, that's not my one team that I would buy. I would expect them to turn things around here, but they might not be a tournament team the way it's going right now. They're 10-8. They've got a lot of work to do to get there. So I like I said, I think they'll win some games here, but I'd say Wisconsin and Northwestern are unfortunately with Northwestern's COVID issues. I'll throw both those two teams in the sell spot right there.
All right, stage is yours, sir.
All righty. So like I said, I think here, let me get my schedule here. Only now with the Wisconsin-Northwestern game canceled, only two on Saturday, Iowa and Ohio State. Kind of both teams that have flipped the script from what they started off. Iowa's got 4 wins in a row. At home against Indiana, at Rutgers, very nice win. And then home against Michigan, home against Maryland. Flip the script. Ohio State, like I just said, 5 losses in a row. But at the same time, 5 games. It's not like they were, getting embarrassed in these games by any means. The loss the other day to Nebraska is obviously tough. You might have been able to see that could have been a tough one the way that spread was looking there. But at the end of the day, 63-60 loss there. Lose at Rutgers as underdogs. Close game. We talked about that game and the way those teams have been playing in the last few years. Those are just, a coin flip game, awesome classic games these days. But before that, the loss to Minnesota after you just lost to Purdue and Maryland in back-to-back games, that one is obviously the tough one, and that one ultimately could be what sets them, keeps them on the outside looking in of the field at the end of the day here. So I'd be willing to bet, like I said, that they're turning things around. I'd be willing to bet that actually they maybe win this game against Iowa here. I think Iowa's typically a safe bet when they've rattled off 3-4 wins in a row. The regression's coming at some point. So I don't know what the projection's looking like for your line on you that you got on this one, but I'd be willing to guess Ohio State turn things around and gets a bounce back, and we see some regression from Iowa this weekend.
I think you'd be surprised if I told you Ken Palm has Ohio State winning this game 82-77. They got Ohio State -5. That's a pretty big statement.
Yeah, no, I that's kind of what I'm thinking as well. The thing that hesitates me a little bit, like I said, Iowa is the one team that sometimes you can look back at what they've done to teams in the past, and these games are fairly close. But the last two, each of the last 2 seasons, they've taken care of business easily against this Ohio State team. But I'm with you. I think this is depending on what the number is, I might be interested in Ohio State tomorrow. Because again, aside from that, I mean, it was a close game, but it's not like they've been getting embarrassed during this losing streak right now. They're due for a big bounce back, and I would not be surprised to see Iowa laying an egg and failing to hit the broadside of a barn shooting wise. So I could see the regression coming. So it would not surprise me at all to see a double-digit win from Ohio State tomorrow.
Yeah, and I just respecting some numbers here. Again, that Iowa is that one team, though, when we expect them to lay the egg. And the numbers are telling us they're going to lay an egg. The pace is an Iowa game, 82-77. And then you turn on the game, and Iowa's 6 for 7 from 3, and it's 18-4. Iowa.
Yeah, and I it's another one where I don't remember how many of these games during their win streak that I've gotten. I think I've gotten the game where they were due for a bounce back. I bet on them against I think just team total against Indiana, and that one got to the window. And then I had them against Michigan. So I've gotten 2 out of their 4 wins here. So I'm with you. I am a little hesitant because obviously you almost like them to lay that egg because they typically lay a couple eggs in a row, and maybe the next time around 2 consecutive times you bet on it. But I certainly am not going to be betting on Iowa tomorrow. I can tell you that.
And the funny thing is, okay, so Ken Palm's got them 5-point dogs against Ohio State. Then on Thursday, they go to Michigan State, and they're only 3-point dogs at Michigan State.
That's Iowa, you said? Yeah. No, yeah. It's going to be an interesting one. That's going to be, that's going to be a good telltale sign of, if Michigan can withstand that type of, play that type of style. And if they can, then, maybe that's a good indicator. And Michigan's better than what I said as far as the lack of offensive firepower there. So, we'll see what the spread is tomorrow, but I certainly maybe an action parlay at the very least if I'm doing that Ohio State money line on that one for sure there.
Like where your eyes are.
All righty. The other game on Saturday, both of these is kind of in the afternoon here, 1:15 my time, 2:15 your time for this one. So both these games kind of playing at the same time. Nebraska at Penn State. Nebraska has played spoiler a handful of times here. They just obviously got the win against Ohio State. What's their? I'm drawing a blank on their conference record here. Either way, Penn State has been not getting or hasn't gotten enough public respect. They've been really solid, but obviously another team that's fallen victim to just a really tough conference here. They're 3-4 in conference, Penn State, and Nebraska is actually 3-5 here. So I would feel safe expecting Penn State to win this game at home. They've lost 3 out of the last 4. At Michigan, they lose a tough one. They lose at home to Purdue, bounce back with a huge win against Indiana, and then lose at Wisconsin in a tough spot there this past weekend, or during the week this past week here. And Nebraska coming off of I don't know if they've won maybe in their non-conference schedule. I don't know the last time they've won 2 games in a row. So another one where I feel pretty safe expecting Penn State to win this one. But, these Nebraska games are kind of tough. Their lines have been fairly indicative, aside from maybe the Illinois game there. That one was a 3.5-point spread at home, and Illinois wins by 26. So I've been staying away from these Nebraska games, but I'll feel pretty safe thinking Penn State wins. But if you told me a spread that's real close, maybe I hesitate a little bit on that one.
No, Ken Palm's got it 70-62. They got Penn State -8. And looking at the Nebraska, who has been sneaky, 10-9. We've highlighted some of their wins. They opened my eyes, obviously, with the 12-point win against Creighton. Then they lost 3 in a row to Indiana, Purdue, and K-State. So, again, all 3 losses I can accept. They beat Queens, and then they beat Iowa by 16, one of the games we had. They go to Michigan State. They lose by 18, come back and beat a pesky Minnesota team by 2 in OT, and then lose by 26 to Illinois, lose by 18 to Purdue. I guess stun is a good word, Ohio State. So, again, you're looking at them probably to lay that egg. I think Penn State will be a pretty public side. Again, Ken Palm's got it 70-62. I think your number will be 8, 8.5, maybe even 9 tomorrow would be my guess.
Yeah, and I'd probably stay away from it. That seems, close to a coin flip, honestly. But again, I'd feel comfortable thinking Penn State wins that game there. So, another top 40 team per Ken Palm. So a team that, maybe they've got a run in them ahead of them. I think they're going to be a tournament team, but the way things are going, it wouldn't surprise me if they have an Ohio State type stretch where they lose 4 or 5 in a row. Not saying this weekend by any means, but aside from this Nebraska game right here, they've got to go to Rutgers on Tuesday. That's obviously a tough game there, and then home for Michigan next weekend. So need this one against Nebraska. If they drop this one against Nebraska, then they're really in jeopardy of a tough stretch and a stretch that can put them on the outside the bubble, wrong side of the bubble there. So yeah, definitely. I would hope there's a sense of urgency from them tomorrow here.
I would assume so. Yes.
Yeah. And then let's see, moving to Sunday, couple good ones. We'll get the not so good one out of the way first. How about that? Minnesota at Michigan, a Michigan team that, excuse me, I've actually had some decent success the last handful of weeks, whether it's betting on them or against them. Typically I've had more success betting against them than I have betting on them. I had Maryland last night. Got a little sweaty, but I had Maryland last night. Had Iowa against them. Again, I guess I shouldn't be bragging too much about that Iowa win for that one. That one was Michigan's game for about 39 and a half minutes there. So a Jekyll and Hyde team that I guess I've had some, aside from what I think last night, I've had some luck with to some degree. So. But at the end of the day, this Minnesota team is flat out bad. You saw them last night throw 39 points up against Purdue. I have not had much of a feel for this Minnesota team. I honestly don't think I've bet on a Minnesota game since I thought Minnesota was a live dog. The last time these two teams played, and Michigan was coming off 4 days rest after a trip to London, playing Kentucky. So I am probably staying far away from this one, my friend. I would expect Michigan to win at home, but nothing would surprise me with these two teams at all. What do you got for a projection? Because I really don't even know what to expect out of this game.
76-62, 14 points. And we'll go back to that Minnesota-Michigan at Minnesota, and we both were leaning Minnesota. You know, Michigan, tough back-to-back games, go to London, you know, short rest, perfect spot for Minnesota, and Michigan just boat raced them. So, again, Maryland coming off. Let me see here for 1 second. I'm going to pull Minnesota up. I mean, Michigan coming off, so you expect them to be ready. You already saw what they can do to them on the road, like back home. But this team for Michigan has been Jekyll and Hyde. We know that. Mm-hmm. I mean, this Minnesota team, again, 78-60, 18-point loss to Illinois at home. And then in comes Purdue, 61-39. So, again, we remember what we saw last. We go back to I'm not saying Michigan's not going to win. It's definitely an inflated line. I would stay far, far away. I would even say, hey, if you're going to give me 14, 15, 16, whatever you want to give me, you know, not that I'm running to the window, not that I'm placing even some pizza and beer money on it, but I would have to say the Gophers are the side here.
I completely agree with you there. Again, I like what you're saying. Not saying we're doing it, not say you are running to the window, but it's not a spot I'm interested in Michigan at all. But I would expect them to win. But again, nothing would surprise me. So that's why we want to get this one out of the way, because these other two games should definitely be good ones. This one could be a surprise game. Who knows? And it could be another 40-point outing for Minnesota. Who knows? So I won't expect that, but I'm with you. I think if you're doing anything, Minnesota probably is the side there. So other two games, two pretty big games, obviously. Michigan State at Indiana. We just talked about both these teams in the intro. Indiana, after their tough stretch, a nice home win against Wisconsin. And then a huge win on the road last night against Illinois. That one really was maybe the turning point of their season. Michigan State on the other hand, nice win last night at home against Rutgers after two losses at Illinois and home 1-point loss to Purdue. Michigan State's actually won each of the last 3 games in this rivalry. So I'm not sure what we're going to see for a spread in this one. Like I said, I'm buying Indiana kind of rising to the occasion and maybe rattling off some wins here. So I'll go on record saying I think they win this one again. Is this a tight spread, or do they give you kind of a statement for Indiana here too?
I think especially on Sunday, I love Big Ten action on Sunday, and you usually can find 1 or 2 public trendy dogs.
Yeah.
You can book this one. Ken Palm has Indiana winning 72-68, so they're giving you a 4-point Indiana favorite right now. My gut would say they'll probably be 3.5, 3 by tip-off. The whole world will be on the Sparties. That will be the public trendy dog of the day. So respect to the Hoosiers. We'll be interested to see what the real opening number is, what the closing bell number is. I too like where your eyes are. I like to see Indiana, especially coming off that huge win against Illinois, to be ready against Michigan State, even to tell people watching and listening today, you might want to grab some Indiana first half there because they should be able to ride the momentum of what transpired yesterday. Because they're going to be in for a bloodbath there with this Michigan State team. Nothing's easy when you go to the rim. So will be interesting for sure.
What was the projection you said as far as total?
72-68, which again is more of an Indiana number than it is a Michigan State number.
Yep, that's why I was asking for that one there. Indiana layout. 146 was the total last night, ended 145, and then obviously Michigan State's numbers have kind of been dropping. So yeah, if I'm curious to see where that one actually gets posted tomorrow, but definitely an Indiana total there for sure. Last one of the weekend, Maryland at Purdue. Obviously, Purdue is the big bad bully on campus right now. But I told you, this Maryland team is tough to predict. Obviously, I know it's a Jekyll and Hyde team for you, no doubt about it. Decent win last night against Michigan. Didn't look fantastic. Their defense looked a lot better. Getting out of there with, not really having a great matchup against Hunter Dickinson. He looked, good down the stretch, but Maryland obviously gets it done anyways. Aside from that one, they've lost 3 out of 5. On New Year's Day, they get blown out by Michigan, obviously avenged it last night. Lose at Rutgers 50-64. Then they turn around at home, 80-73 win there. Road loss at Iowa, 67-81, and then the home win against Michigan. So the story right now for them is that their defense has just been pretty abysmal on the road. Even their offense on the road has been tough. So I would hope there's a sense of urgency from Maryland. They're obviously trying to give Purdue their best shot. They just haven't been good on the road, though. So my heart wants to say Maryland might be a live dog in this one, if I'm being totally honest with you. But the way they're playing on the road is going to keep me hesitant and probably not going to be playing this one. What have you got for a projection on this one? This could be a spread that tells us where to go for this one for sure.
Well, it's kind of comical. They got 73-62, so they got Purdue by 11. So it's a respectable Purdue line.
Yeah.
Again, if I jumped on the Terps, I know they lose by 18. It's just given there. But what I'm trying to do is take my eyes down this to see what they see moving forward. Now, again, UConn is favored in every game, and we see what's happened. Purdue's a different beast right now. But what I do see is a couple interesting notes for you. On Thursday, Purdue goes to Michigan.
Right.
They got Purdue 73-68. So my point is, I think Michigan not only covers that game, but probably beats them there. So again, that Michigan-Nebraska, was it Michigan-Nebraska? No.
Michigan, Minnesota.
Minnesota,
yeah.
So that 14, you could get a Michigan team peeking ahead to Thursday. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, on February 16th, Purdue travels to Maryland, and they got Purdue beating them 69-65. So they got a 7-point difference from home and away here. So just keep an eye on that number. Again, Purdue at home -11, or, again, the Terps catching 4 at home on Thursday. Again, like Michigan coming up next Thursday, Maryland might be in that spot to pick them up. And the real intriguing one for you is Saturday, February 4th. Purdue travels to Indiana, and he only has Purdue winning 72-70. So there's 3 road games coming up for Purdue: at Michigan, at Indiana, and at Maryland, where they could be picked off. And the game before the Maryland, Northwestern, is only 5. So,
man, I was just going to ask you that one too. And you would hope obviously Northwestern's recovered and got their feet back under it. But at the same, and it's easy to predict that they could be dropping some of these road games. They've had so many of these close calls on the road this year that they probably should have lost. The Nebraska game, Michigan State. The other day, I'm drawing a blank on another one. I think Ohio State was the other one. Yep, they win by 2. So, no, I like what you're saying for sure. I'm like I said, the 11 is definitely, definitely giving the respect there. I'm I'm not going to the Terps on Sunday. I can tell you that, especially after what you laid down there. So, I could see them struggling for sure on Thursday at Michigan. Another one where obviously you wouldn't also be surprised to see Michigan lose by 20 with the way Michigan is. But either way, I like what you're saying. Michigan definitely is going to be live on Thursday. So, I'll expect Purdue gets the win, but. Again, Maryland needs to build their resume, so hopefully they've got some sense of urgency. But again, I'm not running to the window with the Terps on Sunday.
Short weekend, obviously in the Big Ten here. You know what I wanted to do is I want to give you the last couple minutes here to talk, if you wanted to, your thoughts on any of the NFL games this weekend. Was there any game in particular that you liked, or were there any props or anything that you're seeing? Or I mean, I don't want to turn this into a, I was going to ask you the Packers. Listen, just Rodgers playing Brett Favre right now. I don't know where the hell, we don't know what's going to happen there. But there's some intriguing games this weekend. I didn't know if there was anything that caught your eye, or maybe a prop or two.
I'll probably be doing my prop research today, but no, I'd be happy to talk NFL. I'd love to bounce some ideas. We already talked early in the week, obviously. The one game that I mentioned to you that I'm pulling the reins back on, and it's more of in my gut as opposed to what I'm actually thinking of. That Giants and Philly game and spread. I'm surprised to see as much of the. I shouldn't be that surprised, but surprised to see as much of the public on the Giants as I did. I would have thought people were still buying more into the Eagles in that spot there for sure. My gut tells me the Giants can keep it close, maybe with the Eagles coming in a little rusty, but. I'm backing off of that one a little bit. Obviously, the Giants taking care of the Vikings. Everyone's calling them the biggest frauds in the world, and now just because they beat them, the Giants are the greatest team in the world. So I do think they have a decent chance to keep it close. Obviously, playing a team 3 times is always tough for the team that wins and the favorite, but I think the Eagles win that game for sure. The game that you kind of turned me on to as far as being a little eye-opening, and I totally agree with you. And now the more I think about it, the more I see it, I kind of agree, is that Cowboys and Niners game there. And the more I hear media personalities on the 4-letter and 3-letter words really talking about loving the 49ers because of the extra 2 days of rest is getting me more and more interested in a Cowboys game. And people remember the game from last year in the playoffs and laugh at the Cowboys for how it ended, running out the clock with the rush up the middle or whatever. However it ended, but it was a 6-point game. It was, if I remember correctly, it was a close game. And obviously you could say the 49ers are better, but I'd argue the Cowboys are better as well. So I give the Cowboys more of a chance to at least cover. I grabbed the Cowboys +4 yesterday, so I think they could win that game there. And interested, I think there's going to be some points. I'm interested. It could obviously go both ways if the Niners defense is playing at its best, and same thing with the Cowboys. So interested to see how that one goes. But I am getting more and more interested in the Cowboys as the day gets closer to Sunday here.
The funny thing is before the tournament started, the number that reeked the most to me was Cowboys +500 to win the NFC. You could have got them at 1,400 to win the bowl, and 1,700 on Dak to win the MVP in the Super Bowl. And the funny part is, and again, this is all hindsight, speculation, whatever you want to say, is if Dallas wins and somehow the Giants beat Philly, Dallas is now hosting the NFC Championship game. And I'm sitting there with a 5-1 ticket where if they're playing the Giants, they'll probably be 5.5 point favorites against the Giants. Now that, you talked about the Philly game to start, and we're going to have Dan Alexander on from Philadelphia at 1:00. And no one knows what's going on with Jalen. No one knows.
Right.
And third game in a division where they know each other. Philly went to New York and put up a 40+ burger. Week 18, they were 14-point favorites and let the Giants backdoor cover. Now you got the bye week, and these teams coming off a bye, I used to call them tomato cans, where the Patriots for 2 decades would win the AFC East. They'd be the number 1 seed. They would have a bye, and they would be 10, 11-point favorites over a tomato can. It's
Right.
basically a game to get lathered up to get ready for next week, And it wasn't too long ago that the Eagles at home especially was beating up teams like this. I mean, their offense, their defense. I don't know what to expect from this Giants team. A Giants team that made the playoffs, won on the road against Minnesota, now playing a divisional foe. Are they just happy to be here, or are they got a little Eli Manning in them? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're a tough team.
I know, and that's like I said, it's almost a gut of having been the Packers, having seen the Giants in a spot or two like that as the team that has a bye with Eli and getting rolled over by Eli. I think 2011 the Packers were 15-1 and hosted the Giants in the divisional round, and I think the Giants won by 15 or something like that. Obviously, totally different pieces in place. Not a single person's on the same team, but the point is. No, I don't know. And it's just funny. I had the Giants season win total this year, as obviously our guy Lucky did as well. And I had a lot of faith that Brian DeBoer was going to turn Daniel Jones into kind of what we've seen this year, honestly. But now people, after last week against a team that we've considered, and a defense especially, who just fired their defensive coordinator, now we're talking about Daniel Jones in the elite conversation. I mean, he's got some legs to him, and he can play well at times, but I guess I'm worried. The worry with this Giants team on Saturday is that Daniel Jones could come crashing back down to earth and might have to be forced to make a few plays, and that could either it could go well. And they've obviously had some of their some of these receivers step up and play a bigger role than they did earlier in the season. But I guess that's my hesitation, because people are talking about him a little too highly for my liking, and all respect to him. But it's possible he comes crashing back down to earth on Saturday night there.
No, I agree. And then I guarantee you Dan's going to start the show by saying, he's leery of the Giants because, and he said this numerous times to me, you can run on Philadelphia and not enough teams take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And you get Saquon Barkley popping, 10, 12, 15 yard, moving the chains. And then it opens up a lot more lanes for Daniel Jones, not just throwing, but, you start to respect him more. You can't put 8 in the box, obviously, with Saquon there. And so then what did Jones run for, like 60 yards or something against the Vikings?
It was at least 70, I think.
Yeah. So that is the intriguing game. I mean, I have thoughts on, maybe Kansas City team total over, the Bills team total over. Obviously, the Cowboys, not just plus the points. I like them on the money line as well. There, the Giants-Eagles game, I can honestly tell you right now at 12:23 on Friday, I don't have an opinion either which way.
Yeah, and I almost want to trust when they got through and I knew that was a matchup in my head. I was like, man, they're kind of live in that game. But I don't know. I am still torn on it. The Cowboys is the only team that I've fired away on so far. I've had a lot of trust in the Bengals all season long. I've had success. Certain spots taking them, but for the most part, and as the season went on, it wasn't a secret anymore. But especially going back to last season, the second half defense. Early in the season, I had a lot of success taking their second half lines if it was a close game or if they were down. But the secret obviously has been out for some time now. So I don't know. I'm staying away from that one. Like I said, my heart tells me the Bengals should keep that one closer, but that obviously seems like the way that it's supposed to look for you. So I'm staying away from that one. The Bills obviously at home and trying to get through the Bengals and eventually and probably getting revenge on the Chiefs is what they've got their sights set on. So I'm hoping that one's a good popcorn game, and we've got plenty of fireworks in that one. And then, like I said, I'm doing some prop research today, so maybe by kickoff tomorrow, I'll have my props out on Twitter there on the old Bird app tomorrow.
Closing thoughts.
I guess, take it easy tonight, I think, is with everything going on. I know we've got, I know we don't have enough time to go into it. I didn't have strong thoughts on the NBA board yet tonight. But not a ton of college basketball. I think there's one Big East game, and then I think it's a lot of mid-major games. So, obviously go easy at it tonight. There's plenty of action tomorrow. I know people are going to be betting on the UFC as well tomorrow. I've got a little interest in the two main fights tomorrow, but it's probably going to be a big day for a lot of people the next 2 days if you're a sports bettor. So definitely don't go diving into the deep end tonight, trying to lather yourself up for the weekend. I obviously got to take it slow and dive in there, and then I'm not sure what aside from that, I'm not. I've been looking at the golf leaderboard a little bit, but maybe Saturday and Sunday that one becomes a little clearer as the leaderboard shakes out there. So take it easy today, like I typically say in a lot of these Fridays. Take it easy today on Friday. So, obviously if you're definitely betting on football and UFC and basketball tomorrow, obviously you're not behind the 8 ball after tonight.
Well, I'll put the curse of death on me in my 2 one and dones. The one that I didn't make the cut in the Rick Gaiman last week, I had the favorite there, the Tom Kim that was nowhere to be found. So
Yeah.
I have Brian Harmon, who's at the bottom of the barrel there. So I couldn't struggle to make the cut there. In the one that I made the cut and I cashed I think it was about $38,000 for his winnings. I took, as soon as I say this name, I guarantee you he blows up like a wood tick tonight. I got Sung J M, who had a nice -7 yesterday. So you know what happens today. So duck, here it comes. You won't. One of these guys that, you could play a million different times. I'm like, you know what? He was one of the favorites last week. No one's talking about him this week. I just said, you know what? I'm going to just get him out of the way on one of these two.
Yeah, and I was trying to pull his information up. They don't even have his age listed on ESPN. The guy that's leading right now, the leader after yesterday, he's got an eagle today, so he's 12 under for the tournament after he's 2 under through 2 already. You probably still assume him to blow up, but maybe the kid's coming out of nowhere. 169th world golf ranking, I think it is. And I don't think that's an adjustment after yesterday. So, we'll see if he's going to blow up. I don't know if there's any odds on some regression mid-tournament now that he's already started. But an eagle to get him started after, or at least 2 holes in, is pretty damn impressive. And, we'll see how that transpires the next few hours here.
Now, the second tournament of 2023, so golf will be starting to really heat up for us. I can't wait. Always a pleasure. We got everyone all set here for the Big 10 weekend up in the air. Have no idea what's going on here and in your schedule, so we'll just play it by ear. If we do something tomorrow, we would tie in any football and obviously the huge college basketball slate. Otherwise, we'll have the weekend off and we'll see you back on Monday. But we're just a text away, correct?
Of course, always.
So from EC Sports Invest on Twitter, and of course, the one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wish everyone a blessed day. Listen, guys, it's the weekend. It's Friday. It's Fade the Public Friday. Be a contrarian out there. Sprinkle a little something here and there. Scratch those itches. Stay in your lanes and don't be the pizza man. We'll see you soon.